You ever look back on a chapter in your life and wonder how the hell you made it through? I do, because a few years ago, I went through something that cracked me wide open. It was love. At least, I thought it was. This is the story of how I got swept into a relationship that started with big words like freedom and vulnerability. How I tried to be open-minded, trusting, loving. How I stayed when my whole body begged me to run. And how in the end, the person I trusted most left me in the dust, chasing someone else entirely. But before you judge me, just listen. Because if you've ever tried your damnedest to love someone through chaos, through confusion, through betrayal, this story is for you. When I first met her, she was magnetic, smart, charming, emotionally intelligent, the kind of person who quoted Brené Brown mid-conversation and made you feel like you were being wrapped in a warm philosophical hug. From early on, there was this constant thread: freedom, exploration, openness. There was talk about polyamory, about how infidelity, handled correctly, could bring couples closer, about how shame was the enemy and how we needed to rewrite the rules. And look, at the time, I didn't see the red flags. I thought it was all theoretical. I nodded along, said the right things. Yeah, that's interesting. Wow, I've never thought about it like that. Because deep down, I believed we were talking about ideas, not actions. I was wrong. Fast forward about a year and a half. She and her best friend from South Africa are planning a trip to London. A girls' week of fun, wine, laughter, nostalgia. Now, here's some context. Her best friend. She's got a side guy in London. A long-term one. She cheats on her partner every time she visits. And my partner. She thinks that's romantic. So when she asks me, during this trip, if she can go on Tinder and just see what it's like, I freeze. I tell her, we didn't talk about this before. I'm not prepared for this emotionally. Please, just wait until we can talk properly. She agrees, but not forever. About 6 months later, another trip is planned. And this time, the conversation is different. She sits me down and tells me, I want to explore non-monogamy. I want to be free when I'm in London. Her idea. We don't talk about it. No updates. No details. No communication. What you don't know won't hurt you, she says. But I do know. And it hurts. I'm terrified. So I read. I research. I dive into books on ethical non-monogamy, trying to brace myself. Because she gives me a very simple choice. We either try this, or we break up. There's a strange thing that happens when someone breaks you in a way you didn't think was possible. Your body keeps the score. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean actual, physical reactions, shaking, shallow breathing, unexplainable sobbing fits. I started having full-on breakdowns while cooking or trying to sleep. My chest would just cave in. My legs would lose their strength. It felt like I was being haunted. Not by her, but by the version of myself that still loved her, still believed in her, still wanted her to come back from that trip the way she left mine. And yet, I stayed. She came back from London, glowing and messy. I was a shell of a person, but I stayed. I kept thinking, if I could just understand this, maybe I could fix it. Maybe we could grow through this. She cried. She apologized. She said she was confused. She said she never wanted to hurt me. You know, the classic post-betrayal script. The whole, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know I was capable of this, speech. I nodded. I listened. I forgave her, over and over again, not because she deserved it, but because I didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how to stop loving her. But love without trust, that's like trying to build a house on quicksand. Every time she left the house, I panicked. If she took her phone into the bathroom for too long, my heart would race. If she went quiet for an hour, I'd spiral. Was she texting someone? Was she planning another, single in London, moment? I didn't want to be that guy, the clingy, paranoid one. But when you've been lied to with a straight face, When someone can stare you in the eye while you're begging for the truth and still protect their secret, it rewires your brain. It changes your threshold for fear. I remember one night, we were just watching a show, something forgettable. And out of nowhere, I started crying. Not a little tear, like full, ugly crying. Because the guy on the show said, "I trust you," and I realized I couldn't say that anymore. I realized that something inside me had died the night she picked someone else over my sanity and told me, well, technically I didn't lie. Technically, she was in another man's bed while I was on the floor, waiting for paramedics to come scrape me off it. But technically, she hadn't had sex yet, so technically it wasn't a betrayal. Let me tell you something. When you start needing legal definitions to explain emotional pain, you're not in love anymore. You're in litigation. We limped along for a year. A full year. A year of therapy. A year of, "I'll do better." A year of, "This was just a mistake." A year of me replaying the same 3 nights in my head like they were scenes from a horror film. I read everything I could about ethical non-monogamy. I wanted to believe her intentions were good. That maybe she just didn't know how to navigate her desires. That maybe we could come out stronger. But every time we got close to healing, another truth would surface. Another name, another moment she forgot to mention. It wasn't a clean break. It was death by paper cuts. And she wasn't a monster. That's the worst part. If she had been cold, if she had screamed and blamed and gaslit me, maybe I could have hated her. Maybe I could have left sooner. But she was kind, thoughtful, even. She cried with me. She held me during panic attacks. She said she didn't understand why she did it either. That ambiguity, it traps you. I wasn't dating a villain. I was dating someone who hurt me and didn't know how to take responsibility for it without also needing me to stay and love her through it. I packed a bag more times than I can count. I'd get halfway to the door and then stop. Because leaving wasn't just leaving her. It was leaving the version of my life I had built in my head. The one where we got through this. The one where she chose me every time. The one where pain meant progress, not punishment. But one thing finally broke it. It was a regular weekend. Nothing special. I was at a Warhammer event. One of my few remaining safe spaces. My little pocket of nerdy joy where everything made sense. I came home tired, happy, needing just a normal Monday with her. Something simple, something grounding. Instead, I got this. "I need to go to my mum's for a week," she said. Okay, sure, we all need space sometimes. No big deal. But her face said otherwise. "I met someone." "Ah, of course." And then the twist. "I think I've been gay all along." Just like that. She had met a woman over the weekend. They connected. She had clarity. All the confusion, the infidelity, the blurred lines, it was all because she was fighting her true self. She wasn't bisexual. She was gay. Full stop. She said it gently. She was trembling, as if this revelation had cost her, too. And I froze. Because how the hell do you respond to that? I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream. Then why didn't you just leave me before you dragged me through the mud? But the words got stuck in my throat. She left that day. Said she'd be back in a week to talk. When she returned, she packed her things. No shouting. No dramatic ending. Just the slow clicking of hangers against the metal rail as she took her clothes out, one by one. And that was it. Here's the thing no one tells you about heartbreak. It doesn't end when they walk out the door. Sometimes that's when it begins. The weirdest part. I wasn't mad that she was gay. I wasn't mad that she found someone else. I wasn't even mad that it ended. What haunted me was everything that came before that. The deception, the gaslighting, the half-truths. If she had just come to me and said, "Hey, I'm realizing something about myself, and I need to explore that," I would have cried. Sure, but I would have understood. But what I got instead was a trial by fire, a year of emotional chaos and moral gymnastics. I got lied to on technicalities. I got left behind while she ran to someone else, all the while claiming love and loyalty. And yet, here's the strangest part, I still loved her. Even after everything, there were moments I wished she'd come back and say, I made a mistake. There were nights I would have taken her back. Because that's what trauma bonding does. It convinces you that survival equals affection. But slowly, with therapy, with time, with someone new who actually values me, I started pulling the threads loose. I stopped romanticizing the pain. I stopped mistaking chaos for passion. So, what did I learn? I learned that love isn't enough. Trust is the oxygen of a relationship. Without it, you're just holding your breath, waiting to drown. I learned that boundaries are not ultimatums. They are survival. The moment someone says, do this or I'll leave, they've already left. I learned that polyamory, if done right, is a beautiful thing, but using it as an excuse to cheat under the banner of freedom is not ethical. It's manipulative. I learned that I should have left sooner. That packing the bag doesn't mean weakness. That staying isn't always noble. Sometimes it's just fear in a tuxedo. And most importantly, I learned I will never let it happen again. That's not bitterness, that's clarity. I am not a backup plan. I am not a stepping stone. I am not the guy who waits on the floor while you, technically, cheat on me. Now, I'm with someone new. She listens when I speak. She doesn't dodge questions. When she goes out, she tells me where she's going because she wants to, not because I asked. She makes me feel safe, not because she never leaves, but because I know she'll come back. The nightmares still come sometimes. I still hear the echo of that question, do you really want to know? And I remember what it did to me. But I don't live there anymore. That version of me, the one crumpled on the floor, begging for honesty, he's healing. He's standing. And if you're out there, if you're in a relationship where you're being asked to swallow pain in the name of love, let me say this. You are allowed to walk away. Even if they cry. Even if they say sorry. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. Because some people are not your forever. Some people are the fire that burns the house down so you can finally see the sky again. So here's to rebuilding, to healing, to honesty, to knowing, without a doubt, that you'll never be, technically, betrayed again. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't come with footnotes. You deserve peace.